Hey guys, how are we doing? Crypto Insight UK here, bringing you back another YouTube video. So today is a bit of like an in-between day, at least right now. We've got Jerome Powell speaking this afternoon, which is what everyone's anticipating. It kind of feels like the calm before the storm before this happens. We did have a little bit of a squeeze up in Bitcoin last night, but the narrative on the street is around CME gaps here for Bitcoin, with a big gap being here. Look, which is between roughly like 91,400 and 92,800. Like, people are anticipating we get this gap filled. Could Jerome Powell's talk today be the catalyst, or do we go higher first? Slash, do we even fill this? Like, honestly, I wouldn't rule out the fact that we fill this, but I will again refer you to the liquidity chart. I do think that let's just go to that. I do think that we will at some point soon move up to the $103,000 mark, and as I keep saying to you guys, when we start breaking these, so we start heading into these deep pools of liquidity, it's a self-reinforcing cycle. More people then short, and then you go higher. It's what happened here. So this liquidity wasn't obviously there because that was new price action. So you squeeze up into that liquidity, and then you consolidate, and then more people short, and then you squeeze up into that, and then more people short, as you can see, and you squeeze up into that. And it's a self-reinforcing and self-reflexive cycle. Once we start to get these breaks a little bit higher, let's just get rid of the drawings and make this a bit clearer for you, like I've been talking about a lot. You start to get these breaks, you start to get into these deep pools of liquidity. Look, 104,000 would take us up to this area, and I presume this would then get more dense, and then this would get more dense, and it's kind of like a reflexive cycle that takes you higher and higher. These things happen. So why do I say I think that it's possible that we do come down first? And those, I don't know what my base case is. Again, I don't have a base case in terms of like short-term price action. I'm just going to show you XRP though, which is one reason why I'm suggesting that there's a potential for us to potentially come down and sweep these lows first. Because on the XRP chart, we have dense liquidity below us, but not much below, at between like $1.99 and $2.03. If we start to get into this level here, I just spat on my screen, that's grim. Sorry guys, because I'm still congested from a cold. But I'm going to be getting into leverage positions here between 199 and 203 if we get offered the opportunity, and probably dollar cost average or add to the position all the way down to about 187 sort of area. So just any of this liquidity, I'll be probably getting into a leverage position, because as I've been saying, and I've just shown you there with the liquidity charts over for Bitcoin, I do think the next move is substantially higher in towards probably the summer, and then towards the end of this year. It would be lovely to see a continued rally throughout the whole year. How amazing would that feel and be? It would be great. And I think it's coming. And we discussed altcoins yesterday, and today so far ETH is potentially looking to break out of this consolidation. Again, anything could happen with Jerome Powell coming in and talking today. Let's have a look at what the RSI is saying. Been falling stochastic, potentially bounced on the 50. Let's see, like, it's kind of neutral, both these RSIs. Yeah, you could argue that the standard RSI is just cross bearish, but there's no volume really supporting either direction. I was just wondering to see if there's anything clear there. There's not. But other tokens we've been watching, Flare Networks, have been slowly grinding up like a wall of worry, and I think that that's going to explode to the upside again soon, nearly back at 2 cents. But one thing I did want to point out to you guys today is, look, this is something we've been pointing out a lot: gold correlation to Bitcoin. Gold is down on the day. Let's see what a Fibonacci retracement looks like from the high to the low recently. Gold has really been pulling back after hitting the 786, pretty much on the head, and struggling to break through that level. But the short-term correlation, gold came down yesterday. It's going to put us on the 4-hour just to show you what's actually been happening. Gold was ripping, and then we dropped probably about, when's that? 12 hours ago-ish. Around 10 o'clock last night. Let's see what happened to Bitcoin. 4-hour time frame. So around 10 o'clock last night is here, and then gold continued to drop, and then Bitcoin obviously ripped. So you can still see this inverse correlation happening between gold and Bitcoin on the short-term time frame. What I would like to see is for Bitcoin to obviously push above this range up to that 104k, and then from there we can make a decision. There probably will be some sort of pullback at some point. But as I said, as soon as you start to get more aggressive in these moves and you get into these like liquidity areas, you squeeze short positions, more people then go short. People think they've missed the rally and they buy, and then, as I said, it's a self-reflexive cycle. or like self-reinforcing cycle. So that's essentially what I'm watching for today. I don't have too much more to say to you. I just wanted to come on here and say to you guys, look, today's a big day because we've got Jerome Powell talking, FOMC meeting. I think a rate decision, I think, is tonight or tomorrow, but he's definitely talking today at some point. And it's essentially a period where things could go either way. Jerome Powell's speeches normally coincide with negative price action, so you would lean on the negative side. However, because of the political pressure that's been on Powell recently, then that's really backed off. I don't know if there's some sort of agreement or arrangement that Powell and Trump have made. I know that Powell meets with Besant for breakfast once a week, so they're not like as divided or opposing as probably the mainstream media makes out. I also know that Trump brought Powell in his last term, so let's see. I just think it's an interesting narrative. There's been really high pressure on him, and then all of a sudden it's backed off, and then he speaks today, so it'd be an interesting one to see what he says. Trump also said there's going to be a massive announcement coming before Friday of this week, or he said it could be as late as Monday, just before he goes to the Middle East. I think he's going to Saudi and Qatar. So let's see what happens in the next few days. I think we're close to the next leg up, which could be explosive. Exactly when that comes, I don't know. But XRP, for example, doesn't mean we're going to get what we want, but we could see a flush of the 204 lows, take that liquidity there, and then head higher. If we do, I'm going to be heavy long from that position all the way down, basically as to whatever it offers me, because I think that's going to be our last little dip really before we see a leg up, unless something changes. But that's where I'm going to be getting in. So with all that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy, please do hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and share it with a friend. Peace up, A-Town Downs, Crypto Insight UK would say.